everyone, and welcome to Who Threw the Curve. And today we have with us Xavier from the Bronx, or the Boogie Down Bronx, where hip hop was supposed to be born, and also myself in the Lower East Side, where I don't know what was born here, but something had to be born here. Um, with that said, we're going to talk today about actually the name of the subject is, and it's we took it from an article, but we made it ours. The debate on taxation and credit scores, are they a natural responsibility? So um, there are a lot of people now, especially Gen Z. Unfortunately, Gen Z always thinking some crazy shit. They feel that they shouldn't pay taxes. They feel like they shouldn't have to have credit scores. So there's a reason why these things exist. Taxes, number one, is they pay for a lot of things that we use. And then credit scores are there to protect not only the people, but also businesses. Because if I lend you money and you don't pay me back, you got to get somehow affected, right? So if there's no credit scores, how will we know who's safe to lend money to? You know, but people, especially the younger generation, millennials and Gen Z, they feel that we shouldn't. What do you think, you being a Gen Zer?
Oh man. Oh man, me being Gen Z. Damn it. So anyways, people forget what credit scores represent. That's what it is. It's not that they don't I feel like it's not that they don't think it's important. They don't know what it is. They don't care to know what it is. And it's the most important thing possible. Just like how you view your trust and honesty, that's what your credit score is. It's credibility. The way companies view you. If you want to buy something super expensive, you don't have to spend all your cash on it. You can
Right.
ask the company to, borrow, and you'll
Right.
lend, pay it
Give you a
in.
line of credit.
People don't understand that. They don't view that as important because they can't do it yet, or they don't want to work towards it. It's not something instant. You have to build it. It's like a trust. It's a relationship.
Right.
But same thing with taxes. People don't understand what taxes are. They don't realize that, yeah, you're born into this country or the country you live in. You don't
Right.
get to choose it, but when you grow up, that's when you start paying taxes. You get to choose where you live when you grow up. Sometimes people don't have that option, but you have to still pay the taxes in the places that you live in. That's why you're getting your free water, where you're going to get your food at, everything where you live, you're paying for that
Or why
just
you don't have to
existing in the
dig a
country.
hole to take a shit.
Exactly. You got running plumbing. Everything is given to you. There's the
Yeah.
laws apply to you because you pay your taxes. But
So I think, I mean, it's what they call economic efficiency. So all this, all right, taxes and credit scores, right? They're without it, we can't have an efficient structure of any monetary, like let's say banks, uh, lending, even governments. How are governments going to run? The streets that we have paved, even though here in New York there's a lot of potholes, but uh, the lights, right? When we turn on the lights, who pays for that, right? Even though we pay a bill, but in the big picture of things, in the spectrum, taxes go to that, right?
yeah,
As well. Um,
it's equal.
water, fresh water, crime, we pay the police with that, schooling. There's a lot of things that taxes cover, but people do not realize, hey, I'm sending my kids to school so they can learn. And who's going to pay for that? Because you're not sending them to a private school, you're sending them to a public school. And who pays for that? Right? The taxes. So um, the laws. Who has to? We elect people, but we have to pay these politicians to sit there and do nothing and make up stupid laws. But yet, we still have to create some type of law, right?
Yeah,
Our taxes go to that. For the as far as the credit scores, even though it may put people in depression, but at the end of the day, if you know you can't pay back money, then don't borrow. If you know you can't pay a mortgage of $500,000, then get a house that's $100,000. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem. That will ruin your credit score. That will put you into depression. But at the end of the day, you had to think, I only work here and I have no extra income. How am I going to pay a $500,000 mortgage?
people like free things. They don't think about how am I going to pay it back. They just think about, ooh, I
Yeah.
got this mortgage. Oh, I got this amount of credit. Let me use it all. Don't think about how they're gonna pay it back in that time frame.
And think about it. If we didn't have these things, how are we going to live in a society that functions the way it does? Because you know what it is? People live here in the United States, have not traveled to like third world country, or I would
No,
like to say a fourth world country where there's nothing.
they
And
would
when
go
you
through hell.
Yeah, when you go, yeah, basically when you go there, you'll realize on why you pay taxes because they have nothing. They have to dig holes so they can shit and put their plumbing, an outhouse. We used to have outhouses, but guess what? Our taxes allowed us to build the plumbing that we have now and the system that we have now and the sewer systems that we have now. That was our taxes. But in those places who do not have the taxes to pay for anything, they got to go build holes in the back and create outhouses so they can shit and piss, right?
That's
Which
crazy.
also creates or allows diseases to live, right? And if you keep shitting in a hole, eventually that's going to seep into the ground, into your water system because you don't have running water. So you got to drain, you got to take your water out of a well. But if you got shit from your outhouse going into the water, there's no longer fresh water. You know, I think
They don't think these
people
things through.
I think people have to look at or go visit other countries and see how they run before they run their mouths on how we shouldn't pay. Should we pay less taxes? Probably. But again, like you said, off camera, we live in New York City. We pay a lot of taxes here. But at the end of the day, we do have a lot of amenities that we use. Who pays for those? You know what I'm saying?
The taxes
It,
they're paying for.
it's not like we're living in some mountain somewhere. It's not like we're living in Montana, where there's hardly anybody there and nobody's really paying taxes, so they don't have to find a Wi-Fi spot is like almost impossible. You got to stay on top of a mountain to find some internet service. But it's the taxes that create this. People want free
Definitely.
Wi-Fi. That's fine. I think we should get free Wi-Fi since it's something that we're guaranteed to and use. But it's our taxes that pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, before we get things like that, especially in New York, I don't know why that's an option. We barely even have good train stations. We got to get the MTA system up and running before we could get free Wi-Fi in those shits. But I guess it's a luxury that people get used to. People get used to these luxuries and think it's a requirement. Like we have to live with these, but we don't have to pay for them. We have to pay for them in some way,
Yeah,
somehow. It's gonna be
so,
through taxes.
absolutely. Somewhere along the line, somebody got to pay for it. And here in New York City, we're not all taxed the same. The more you make, the more taxes you got to pay. The less you make, the less taxes you pay. Uh, but that's just the way the system is. I can't ask somebody to pay $135 worth of taxes every whatever you get paid because so and so was making $200,000 and he could afford that and he's paying it. I can't expect you, who's only making $28,000 a year, to pay that. No, it's just a different system. They can't tax everybody the same, but we all have to contribute to the tax system.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to pay taxes, you know, talk to Trump. He knows how to run around that. You know, he,
Yeah, you see that situation, man.
I'm sure that he could school you on that. There's plenty of loopholes on how you can do it, but you got to think outside the box. You also got to start a business. You
That's
can't
work.
just not pay taxes because you don't
People
want
don't
to.
like to work. You forgot? That's not an option for them. They don't Gen Z, that's not an option for them. They don't like to work. And if they're gonna start a business, it needs to be successful. They don't want it to fail, even though you need failures in life. Nah.
Right. And if you're gonna sit down and worry and let your credit score stress you out, then don't borrow. Don't stop trying to keep up with the Joneses because if you
It's not
can't if you can't keep up with the Joneses, don't keep up with somebody else who's in your economic level.
if somebody's gonna take any advice for raising your credit score, it's get a phone bill. Pay your phone. You need a phone. Get an internet line. You know, the simple things. You don't need to always just borrow money.
Yeah,
Sometimes you're just using a service, it'll just raise your credit. Stop
Yeah.
borrowing money if you can't afford it. Stop trying to find an excuse to buy nice things you can't afford. It
Right.
makes no sense. You work hard for those nice things. You
Yep.
can't just appear with free people's money. You're using other people's money on other things and you can't pay it back.
Yeah. And again, uh, taxes also go to our social system. So, unfortunately, we have just like in any country, if you ever see the poor people in another country, you see the poor people in this country, they live differently. Why? Because we contribute to the system to help them out. We all sometimes have bad luck, or not bad luck, but sometimes we run into bad luck. That doesn't mean it's forever, but we do. And a lot of times we need that little boost. Those taxes that we pay go to that. And for those people who say, why should they have to pay? The question you should be asking yourself is, hope you're not ever poor. Because if that ever happens, then you'll realize why you should have paid. Because we have to help, that we all have to contribute to the system because we all live in a society that functions together. So otherwise, we're going to be like some other countries. Well, if you don't want crime, guess what? You know why these people are stealing? I mean, some people steal just to steal, but they steal to make money, you know? And a lot of times for personal use, So remember, I was a manager at Dwayne Reed for about a couple of years on 145th Street. People used to shoplift all the time. I do have a problem with shoplifting, but not because they shoplifting. The only problem I have with shoplifting was that you thought as a shoplifter, because that's what society put in your head, that it's okay to do that. No, it's not okay to do it. You could shoplift. I'm not going to allow you to just walk out. You got to just be a little discreet about it. Like back in the days, shoplifters work for it. If you work for it, guess what? You can have it. I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to allow you to take shit while I'm looking at you and just walk out the door. That's not going to happen like that. So, there's a lot of things that are going on now because people just think, oh, I don't have to pay. No, you do have to pay, because if you don't pay, this just gets worse. And a lot of times people shoplift because they really need it. It's not because they want to do it. Like nobody wants to. I hope nobody just wants to go to the store and take shit. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times they
Most
really
of the
need some.
time, people need things, yeah.
So, but the only problem I have with it is you can steal from the stores. I just have a problem with you just thinking that you're gonna do it while I'm watching you.
The audacity to just do it right in your face
You know,
and be like, oh,
if
he's
you're
just a
gonna do
store
it,
person.
work for it, and I may just look the other way.
He
You
needs
know
to be
what
discreet enough.
I'm
He
saying?
definitely.
But at the end of the day, Gen Z, taxes and credit scores are definitely needed. Taxes are definitely needed. What credit scores do is they create a balance, and without balance, we just have a we're gonna be like financially broke because nobody's paying back the money that was lent out. You
Hey,
know,
we're already financially broke already, this country, man.
it's like that when Biden thought that he could just tell everybody, "Hey, yeah, you don't have to pay your student loans." No, you have to pay your student loans.
I don't know what type of joke was that he made.
Some, and I get it. Some people went to school and they just never got good jobs. I mean, I get that, but you have a lot of people who took a large amount of loans and who's making money.
Yeah, and they're
So
not
pay that
paying.
money back.
Yo, it's
You know what I'm
crazy.
saying? Pay that money
Uh,
back. You making money, pay the money back. If you're not making money, I don't know, claim bankruptcy and they'll wipe it out. But but if you do that, you're gonna have a bad credit score.
yeah, yeah. You're resetting your whole
Yeah.
thing, whole shebang.
So everything is a balance for themselves, and taxes just needed because if you want to live in a big city, then that's what you pay. If you want to live in a small city, go to Alabama and ask them how they live in, or a state that doesn't have them. Go to Mississippi and see how they live in.
Yeah, I just know I wouldn't
Not
survive down
everybody's
there.
living good, and the poor people are poor. They're really poor. You know what I'm saying? Because
Definitely.
they don't have the tax collection that we have in New York City. I think the best place to live is in New York City. Yes, it's expensive for those who are making money, but if you don't make money, the safety net is crazy.
Yeah,
You can still live.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying? But with that said, Gen Zs, start paying your taxes. Stop being deadbeats and not pay your taxes. You know? Anything to add on that?
Hey, I agree completely. You got to take responsibility for something. You live here, you got to pay for it. You don't live for free. Nothing is
Oh,
free in life.
and no free lunch. And another thing, another thing that I didn't touch: taxes pay for the education system. Sure, not all of our teachers are great, but they pay for the great ones too. You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
they
And they
forget
teach
about this.
our kids.
Your kids are safe with those teachers, man.
Yeah. With that said, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to follow. Again, like always, you can also contribute on the comment boxes down there. And if, I mean, I always answer back. Depending on what you say, is depending on what I answer back. So I appreciate the comments, and I definitely would engage with you. With that said, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on our next segment.